The nostalgia is, it's almost painful. Hi, my name is Sarah and I love to talk about books, and today, for possibly the first, probably the only time on this channel, I'm going to be talking about children's books, because today I want to share with you some really lovely Christmas children's books. As you can see, we're well in the festive spirit in this house with our tree. It's not a super Instagrammy, aesthetically pleasing tree, but it's ours. You can see I lost I lost the fight about whether to have just white lights or multicoloured ones. The kids were definitely not budging on that argument, and I just let them throw on all the Christmas decorations on our tree. I may go and move some after they've finished though. My 3-year-old tends to just pick a branch and see how many decorations he can get on that one branch. But other than that, this is their creation, and I'm also feeling pretty festive myself. I've got my Christmas nails, I've got my snowflake earrings, and I'm going to have to do a bit of a shuffle here. I've got my fairy light dress on, which kind of goes with the multicoloured theme anyway. Yep, I love Christmas, and my kids have a lot of Christmas books. I mean, unsurprisingly, they have a lot of books anyway, but these ones are special. These ones, after Christmas, they go away with the Christmas decorations, so they're only on the shelves for the month of December. And I'm quite obsessed with children's Christmas books. The ones I'm going to talk to you about today are not even half of our collection. I'll start with a couple from my own childhood. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of Christmas books. I don't think they were really a thing back in the 80s and 90s, and they're not necessarily the best books, some of them, but for me, sentimentality is a huge thing. So first off, I'm going to start with Thomas and the Christmas Presents. Oh, my lights are going to cause an issue in this video, aren't they? And this teaches kids the importance of not snooping for your Christmas presents before the big day. And I'm assuming my parents bought this because my brother and I were really bad for crawling under the Christmas tree and feeling all the presents and trying to guess what they were. And I think sometimes our investigations got a little bit too close to spoiling the surprise. And in this house, it's quite important as well, because I hide all the presents in the eaves cupboard in my son's bedroom. Obviously he doesn't know that, and I would like it to stay that way. So in this book, Thomas goes snooping for his presents. I'll try and find a page, and he finds them. He gets in big trouble for this, and he has to atone for it by helping with chores, and he's not sure that Santa's going to come and visit him. Spoiler, he does. But because one of the things he had to do was to rewrap all of the presents that he had opened, there's a very funny part where the presents get mixed up, and I think it's Grandpa gets a night dress and Grandma gets a box of cigars instead of their intended presents, and that always made me laugh as a kid. And my next dose of sentimentality is Christmas at Puddle Lane. I won't get so much into this book because the actual story is not that good. I think why this one is a favourite of mine is basically because it's set in the Puddle Lane world of the Learn to Read books that I loved as a child. If you know the books, you'll know that the end papers always have an illustration of Puddle Lane in them, and so this one has an illustration of Puddle Lane in the snow, which is lovely. But then my next childhood favourite is one that really is probably one of the best Christmas books in my collection, and normally we get a copy out of the library because my one from childhood does not seem to have survived, but this year obviously things with libraries are quite different, so I finally bought my own copy, and it's Shirley Hughes's Lucy and Tom's Christmas. This is just absolutely beautiful. The illustrations are so evocative, particularly of my kind of Christmas from childhood. You know, things like Christmas carolers coming to the door and the Salvation Army in the streets. opening your stocking on Christmas Day, which was one of my absolute favourite parts of Christmas. I just think this book is so beautiful. The nostalgia is, oh, it's almost painful. There isn't an awful lot to the story, it's just a typical Christmas for Lucy and Tom, but I think this is perfect. And then moving on to classics, I have the illustrated version of A Christmas Carol. This has been, let's find a good picture. Oh, here we go. Here's one of Reformed Scrooge. This is illustrated by Quentin Blake, who you might know is the illustrator for the Roald Dahl children's books. It's just a really nice version to have. My middle boy hasn't read this yet. I might share it with him this year. I don't know if he's quite ready for it, but my older boy read this when I bought it, and I think it's probably an abridged version, but it's just such a lovely timeless story for Christmas, and particularly if you follow it up with the Muppets Christmas Carol, you can't really go wrong. And speaking of classics, I've got this copy of the classic poem The Night Before Christmas. This book actually came in like a wee cheapy set from either the Works or like a pound shop. It had, I think, like a puzzle and a book with it. But actually, I really love this edition of the poem because I really love these illustrations. I don't know if you can see from that, but they're mixed media. So there's parts that are drawn, there are parts that are real. I think you can see from the presents, they're real, and then there's paper illustrated cutouts as well in all of the scenes, and I just think it's really gorgeous. And obviously, who doesn't love that classic poem? And my next book builds on that poem. So it's not a classic, it should be. This is another one of my absolute favourites, and it starts off kind of borrowing from that classic poem, saying, "On the night before Christmas, a child in a house, as the whole family slept, behaved just like a mouse, and crept on soft toes down red carpeted stairs. Her hand held the paw of her favourite bear." And so this is Another Night Before Christmas by Carol Ann Duffy. And this was a purchase of my staff discount while I worked at Waterstones. It's one of the first Christmas books I bought my older boy, and it's, see, when we read it every year, I get all the Christmas feelings from this book. The poem is great, the illustrations are really cute as well. As you can see, here is the wee girl. She's got such a cheeky wee face. I just think it's really special. It's got some nice messages here about society, as well as retaining the Christmas message, so I absolutely love this. And another of my staff discount purchases at that time was 25 December Lane by Helen Ward, and this book just has stunning illustrations. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's also got a really beautiful story to go along with it. So this is the story of a little girl who is trying to find the perfect present for her baby brother. She comes across a magical toy shop, and the only other customer is a mysterious bearded man who buys all the toys in the shop and doesn't leave her anything to buy her baby brother. But just when she thinks all is lost, the perfect gift falls from the sky and all is well. I just think it's gorgeous. And speaking of the big jolly guy himself, I love stories that look behind the scenes of Santa. So this one is a relatively new one to our collection, although you can't tell that's looking a bit bashed. My children really like this one. And this is Santa's 12 Days of Christmas by Alexandra Robinson. And this is about how Santa spends his downtime in the 12 days of Christmas, so after his big shift. It's really fun, and again, I really love the illustrations. I think it's again that kind of mixed media, so as you can see, here's Santa cutting loose with his elves and his North Pole buddies. And it's just, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And also it's got the element where you have to search for the number of the day within the picture, which my kids absolutely adore. And speaking of Santa behind the scenes, this next book takes a really deep dive into the world of Santa. And this is How Santa Really Works by Alan Snow. I'm wondering if that's a pen name. It's looking a bit scabby now because this is again another one of my Waterstone staff discount purchases about 15 years ago, and it has been well thumbed over the years because it's a lot of fun and it answers all those questions that kids can have about Santa, which we're not always fully equipped to answer. Like, how does he get all the presents for all the children on one sleigh? Well, answer. He has depots all over the world where he refills the sleigh. And about getting down those chimneys, turns out Santa isn't all that big. He just wears a special suit, and when he wants to go down the chimneys, he takes it off. It's just such a silly book, and the kids really get a kick out of the ingenious answers to their questions in this one. And then I have a couple of books that are a bit gimmicky, but they're still a lot of fun. So this one is Winnie the Pooh and the Grand Christmas Surprise. I'm not a huge Winnie the Pooh fan, particularly not the Disneyfied version, but this is more in line with the original illustrations from the A.A. Milne books. So it ticks my nostalgia box. And the main reason why I love it is because inside, obviously you have the story, but you also have these lovely little envelopes, and they are real envelopes in which, oh, I can't do this back to front, there are letters to read. And if, like me, you were a child during the craze for the Jolly Postman books, which were a big craze at the primary school book fair when I was a kid, then you'll understand why I love this. I think those, were they by Janet and Alan Alberg? I'll have a wee look and I'll put it up on the screen, but the Jolly Postman books are fantastic, and this is obviously done in their style, so that's what makes it a lot of fun. And when we're talking about gimmicks, Christmas advertising is a huge one. Anyone in the UK will recognise Kevin the Carrot. He is the Aldi Christmas mascot. I know, but my kids love Kevin. We have a cuddly Kevin up the stairs, and they also love The Greatest Showman, which this book borrows heavily from. But actually it's really good. So there's a magic circus which is brought to life by the Christmas spirit. Yeah, let's find the page. So here we go, there is Kevin, and I can't remember his wife's name, but they are performing in the circus and their kids are absolutely amazed. And the book even comes with some angry sprouts. But it all comes together in the end where the sprouts are allowed to take part in the magic circus and everyone is happy, and it's really cute. And then talking about sprouts, this one actually didn't get put away with the Christmas decorations last year, and I have to read it to my youngest all the time, but I still love it. And it's The Stinky Sprouts by Rosie Greening. Now this is about a family of sprouts. But they're excluded in all the kitchen fun by the other veggies because they smell so bad. Again, I just love the illustrations. There's mixed media in here and I just think it's super cute. The sprouts find an ingenious way to cover up their smell by dipping themselves in cranberry sauce. But their secret is exposed and the other vegetables are shocked. But not at the sprouts' trickery, but their own horrible behaviour in not letting the sprouts play. Again, it's in that kind of mixed media style. I love it, and it's got quite a nice message to it as well. And plus, I love vegetables with eyes. I can't explain it. I just think it's so much fun. So those are our family favourite Christmas books. They're a lot of fun and they definitely make this time of year even more special. And I love sharing books with the kids anyway, but just to add a Christmas element just makes it that much more special. So I'd love to hear if you have any favourite Christmas books, either from your own childhood or whether your kids have got a little collection. I'd love to hear of some of your favourites, because I'm always on the lookout for new ones. And I hope your preparations for Christmas are going well. My Christmas shopping is finished. I just have the dreaded mountain of wrapping to get through, but I'm sure I'll stick on a Christmas film and just get it done in a one-er, I think. If you celebrate, I hope your Christmas preparations are going well. And until next week and another festive video, bye. And he opens all the presents that his mother has kept.